What's up, guys? It's Lychee here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk a bit about Pet Simulator 99. It's a really popular Roblox game that was made by Big Games. This game has been out since like the end of last year, and I've been playing since launch, so I feel like I kind of understand what's going on, and I always tune in for the updates and stuff. But recently I feel like there's been so much negative energy and a lot of complaints, which some I think are legitimate, some are not, but I just wanted to do a video to explain everything about what's going on, what I think about it, and would love to hear your guys' opinions as well in regards to whether these criticisms and issues are like actually valid and what they can do to fix them, and just, yeah, everyone's general thoughts. So I'm splitting this kind of into 4 different sections. I will probably stamp them in the description, and let's go ahead and get started. So number 1, people just complain that the game is pay to win and the company is very money hungry and just kind of like selfish. I can definitely see this argument because obviously most Roblox games are just kind of like that. Like, companies are essentially here to make money, which means forcing you guys to buy like Robux on game passes or items or this and that type of thing. But I don't know why. I think just because like Pet Sim 99 is one of the most popular games, it gets hit with the pay to win accusations, like I guess more than smaller games, which tend to fly under the radar. I don't think this is like something bad in itself, and if you guys know anything about like the gaming industry in general, it's kind of like going this way where most games are now not really catering towards like getting a bigger or wider fan base. A lot of games are just trying to like appease players that are called whales, who tend to devote a lot of like time and money to that specific game, but they're only like less than 1% of the player base. So I can definitely see Pet Sim 99 going in the same direction, which honestly sucks because to me I feel like it's nice to have a game that has like a wide appeal that everyone can enjoy playing. But if the devs want to make the decision towards like, hey, we're making more money by just selling like really, really expensive game passes to people who are very invested, I mean, it's still their creation, so I kind of feel as if like that is their choice to make. Personally, as a free-to-play player, obviously I'm like salty that, you know, the game isn't easier or more playable or more fair in some ways, but again, I don't really think that's something that I can personally like demand from the developers to change their vision for the game and that sort of thing. So that's number 1, talking about like the play to win factor in Pet Sim 99. Number 2 is behavior of the exploiters and how the team treats the exploiters. So I think this is probably the most like urgent issue that's going on right now. Like, it was, I think, only last week where a bunch of like exploiters or hackers or something like that, they started duplicating like huges and different items, or something was going on. I actually don't really know what the detail is, but there was like some kind of glitch or exploit in the game. And then there were some players that were trying to like take advantage of that, and essentially they ended up negotiating with the owners and development team at Big Games, and these hackers essentially like got rewarded for sharing like what their trick was. And then because of that, the developers were able to fix it, but they also like in exchange, in negotiating with the hackers to like tell them what the glitch was, they traded some like very highly valuable and like extremely rare like huges, like even rainbow shinies and stuff like that. And it wasn't just one, it was like several of them. So this was like pretty controversial in the community. I saw a lot of people complaining about it across the player base, because the terms of service on the game, first of all, like states that if you are exploiting or using bots or anything like that, that you should get banned from the game. but it just like was kind of a bad look to everyone where these people were like clearly doing that, and just because the dev team couldn't figure it out like without cooperating with them, it felt like, you know, there was actually unequal treatment there, and they actually essentially got rewarded for, you know, exploiting the game. So definitely I can see the player base's side from this. I do think it is really unfair for others in the game, because if you're just like, you know, running 1 or 2 scripts and you happen to get caught by them, you know, you can be banned forever. But at the same time, it's like these people are clearly trying to crash the economy or duplicate huges or trick other players, and in return they get rewarded with a really rare pet. It feels like that's kind of unbalanced. But I saw a pretty interesting parallel to like real life companies when there are like security risks in like Facebook or Google or Amazon. Usually a lot of like tech companies will have like a bounty program where if you share like any vulnerability or leak with them, they will reward you in some way. So I'm kind of like divided about this. In the first place, I feel like if the terms of service had that rule stated up front where if you use any hacks or exploits, you should be banned, I do feel like the developers should stick to that. But at the same time, like if they had just developed some sort of bounty program ahead of time and said like, hey, if you're interested, try to break the game. If you turn it in though and like kind of do it from a white hat perspective, then, you know, we can reward you with XYZ things. I think it would be better if they had stated a program like that up front instead of letting this happen and then like backtracking on it essentially. I'm going to talk more about this. It's pretty related to the next 2 topics. So number 3 issue is just generally no transparency. And personally, I've seen this in a lot of different areas of the game. So number 1, the most basic thing is like the hatch rates for the eggs. For certain eggs, when you go to the end, you can see that they have like 2 question marks as the actual like probability. What they mean in the game when that's there is just that like that's a really rare pet. But because there's like just question marks, no one knows how rare it actually is. Same thing with like hatching huges from the eggs, right? Like, you know, you don't actually know what the hatch rate is. And because of that, it makes it like really difficult when people buy things like Huge Hunter, Game Pass, or Lucky Eggs, because if you don't know what the base probability is and you're buying like a pass to you know, multiply the chances, then how do you actually know that, first of all, they're not like changing the chances all the time, and second of all, that like this isn't just gambling. Like for all we know, the chances could be 0 because you know, they're not releasing the hatch rates. So I definitely can see the argument that this is getting kind of close to just like straight up gambling, and I do believe that that's an issue, especially when people are actually spending Robux for these game passes and stuff. It's pretty difficult. Like, I would honestly feel better about the situation if the hatch rate literally said like 0.0000000, like 1 million zeros and then 1. Like, I think that would be more comforting in a way than just seeing 2 question marks. There's also other areas where it seems like the communication is like not clear or just straight up wrong. Like for the most recent update that happened last weekend, the development team had like tweeted that they were going to do like these hype egg events, and basically it was like if you log into the update based on your rank level, you would get a certain amount of like free eggs that you could hatch or something, which turned out to be like, first of all, glorified gift boxes, but also like with a chance of a huge. And it was just kind of like weird and misleading, because I remember being in the game that day and I had been like waiting and playing the day before. So I was on the update on my regular account like the day, like as the update happened. So that's one. But my secondary, I have like another alt account that I use for like farming and stuff. I didn't have it logged in or anything at that time. So anyway, I like successfully got the like hype egg gifts for my main account, and then I had seen that there was like a timer that goes down like 11 hours, so 11 or 12 hours like from the update time. So I was like, oh, that's cool, like as long as I use my alt account to log in to see the update like before the end of the next 12 hours, I should be able to redeem it. But it's like people only found out after the fact that you had to log in to the game in the first 10 minutes, and then that the 12-hour timer was like apparently not really related to anything. So it was just like really weird and confusing. And the thing is that like nowhere did it state like before the update that you had to log in the first 10 minutes in order to receive the free gift. So that was just like kind of left a bad taste in people's mouths, honestly. And I really agree. I feel like that was like purposefully misleading versus other things in the game when people have complained about this before. Felt more like, you know, maybe they forgot something or miscommunicated something, and you can let like enough of those slide. But this one seemed like pretty deliberate to me, because it's like, you know, the developers had to program that in, that you had to like be in the game in the 10 minutes, but then they still put up the timer. Like that just seemed particularly messy to me. And like an example of some of the other things that I've seen people complain about is that like they sell enchant books for Robux in the exclusive shop on the game. And then they had written, I guess, that the mega boss chest boss chess mimic, I think is the name. It had been saying like it was the last chance to buy it before the store refreshes at the update, and then after the update like it was still in the store. So things like that I think is like less serious, but it does definitely speak to a pattern of there being just like low transparency, straight up gaslighting at times, that sort of stuff. And that kind of leads me into point number 4, which is just like the team being generally unprofessional. It seems like there's a lot of just like general toxicity between people who play the game, the people who make the game, the company, like all of this kind of stuff. I don't really want to get into like too much details on this, but there's tons of like tweets, screenshots of tweets that are floating around, screenshots of the development team in their big games like Pet Sim Discord, like all of this type of stuff. Basically, when people complain, sometimes it's taken well as like actual good feedback, and sometimes it's really not. It's like I can think of times where, for example, before this last update, people had been complaining like, hey, it takes a long time to fuse together key halves, like the top half and bottom half of keys. And then someone had tweeted at Preston about it, and then Preston was like, okay, we'll add that as a quality of life improvement. And they actually did that, and they followed through. So that's like, oh, I feel like that's a very good example of the team taking ideas from and feedback from the user base and shipping an improvement. That's great. But that story continues, unfortunately. And then in the last update, they had actually like added a keys mastery thing. So after that update was released, you actually had to rank up your key mastery to level 40 to like access that combining key halves thing again. So that was like particularly rough, because it felt like they gave us something just to like take it away, which was kind of difficult. Another thing that I find kind of like weird, but I don't really have like a strong opinion or theory about this, is like compared to other like companies or game developers especially, it feels like there's this thing about Preston specifically, like people are referring to the development team or big games company as just like Preston. Like they'll say things like Preston is really money hungry, or he's selfish, or he's doing XYZ just to like mess with people, and they treat the whole thing as just like Preston being the one figurehead behind things. And you know, it is weird, and On the flip side though, like, I also believe that Preston himself, if not the whole team and company, feeds into this as well, because like when you do mini games like cart ride into Preston and have like a little thing called Preston Shop in World 1 in one of like the tunnels and stuff, it's like they are clearly trying to market this one person as the figurehead. I don't know why. I guess it's like a way to more so personalize or like humanize the company, so you feel like, you know, there's someone familiar. And I know it's been like a trend in companies, like especially since I guess Twitter or X took off, that like, you know, people find it so funny when a company or brand makes like a clapback tweet or says something really sassy or whatever. So I think maybe that's part of why they're trying to like position Preston as, you know, the person who's behind this thing. I haven't really thought about what the implications of that are or is. Yeah, I don't know. If you guys have more thoughts about this, I would love to hear it. But yeah, this video is getting really long anyways, and I think this is most of what I wanted to talk about, even though there's definitely stuff that I missed. Please comment. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye.